1e4. Let me revert back to one of my old loves, the Norwegian rats. Been doing a lot of Scandinavian recently. And yeah, let's see what he's got prepared. I don't know. Mr. Jean-Claude Duss, why have you not prepared for this? Or is he just checking up on his notes? Like, you gotta know. You gotta know this. Okay, so he takes. I don't think this is particularly dangerous. Sort of hard to get to the e4 pawn now. And I should be in time with a timely c5 or even maybe f5 to get some decent counterplay. Yeah, let me start with c5. Yeah, c3. c3 is obviously okay, but it feels a bit timid. Should probably have taken on c5. At least that was what worried me the most. But he's fine. I'm thinking if I go castle, he may go knight c3. Maybe I should go bishop g4 first. Either way, I feel like he's done fairly well. I've wouldn't say criticized him, but I've made a suggestion that his play may have been a bit timid so far, but maybe he's still doing pretty well. Just perhaps the result of the opening not being that great. So yeah, I guess I'll castle and see what happens. There are options like knight c3. I can go queen b6, followed by rook d8, not fearing d5, queen b2, since his knight will be hanging, and later the pawn on e5. It's all about time. In that case, knight c3 and castles. If you could get these two moves, I think he would be better, but without, it's not so easy. Also, after castles, then knight a5 is a serious option, which I don't think it really was before. So he goes h3 with the pretty obvious intention of covering bishop g4. And now, yeah, I feel like I gotta act. So I'm gonna go knight a5. If he goes bishop b3, I'm pretty happy just to chop it off and get the bishop pair, which will give me compensation even if I were to lose the e4 pawn. And if bishop b5, then I got a6 followed by knight c4 on b5, presumably with pretty decent counterplay. So I feel like I'm doing okay now. Yeah, I briefly thought where I should mention b3, but it just feels too artificial. But now that he's gone for it, I gotta deal with it somehow. So how? Where is the dealing with it? I either gotta take it, or I gotta do something like a6, preparing b5. If I do go a6, he may go knight c3, and I'm not sure I've gained too much. So I got a couple of options as well. I can go b5. I prefer bishop b6. I could have gone b5, cb, then queen a5, queen d2, take b5. He would castle, and I feel like he would have an improved version of these positions. So I'm going bishop e6, not fearing g5, because then the pawn on the e5 will be hanging, and I'm relying on short-term factors here of being able to create counterplay before you can castle. So he protects c4. I'm going to go rook c4, and he's got to push some of these pawns. So he quite correctly goes d5, bishop d7, and now he's got a choice to make. I think if he wants to be fine here, the simplest way was just to go e6, fe, and then castles. And I'm never doing too great there. But bishop d4 at the very least gives me some time to create counterplay. I'm hitting c4 once again. c5 allows bishop b5 with, I would say, very good counterplay. So I think what he should have done is he should have gone e6. And then he would probably have been doing fairly well. Now queen c2, that move I don't like for him. I think he is not taking the short-term factors into account enough here. I think he's, yeah, I think you gotta play more concretely than this. Although queen c3, it's not immediately obvious. Now that I think of it, yeah, it's not obvious. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. Okay, rook d8, castles. Yeah, there is rook d5, but I'm feeling more like b5 actually. This could be a massive mistake actually. b5, yes, many good options here. Like queen b4 is pretty good, then knight c3 to come. Yeah, b5 was awful, really awful. I'm sinning against what I was talking about before, playing more concretely. c5 was probably his worst option, since now he's losing d5. But I shouldn't interpret b4, because he can simply take it and then grab the bishop on a4. Should I do now? Rook d8. He's got c6, but then I'm going to go b4 and grab that pawn with the bishop. I feel like if he goes bishop e3, let's say bishop e5, queen b4, he's very much in the game. Even c6 is far from hopeless. This one I don't like. Yeah, I could think of taking it, then knight d4, bishop e5, goes c6, so I feel like b4 is cleaner. Queen e3, I'm going bishop e5, and that should be game over. He started out very well in this game, but I think now he's lost the plot. Now, finally, all of my pieces are working together, either attacking e2 or they're attacking